Ever pondered upon the reason behind the Bible's firm stand against idol worship? This question might have piqued your curiosity, especially in the face of the rampant practice of idol worship in diverse cultures worldwide. The concept of idol worship is not confined to the mere of a physical figure or statue. It extends to anything or anyone that is venerated, loved, or admired to a level of devotion, thus pushing God to the sidelines. This could take the form of material wealth, power, popularity, or even abstract concepts that become predominant in one's life. Before we delve into the finer details, it's crucial to comprehend the viewpoint on this matter. The Bible, unequivocally, condemns idol worship. It's more than just a simple caution, it's an austere warning, a commandment. The Bible upholds the sole belief in God as its central dogma, and anything that challenges this belief is regarded as a grave misstep. At this point, you might ask, but why? Well, the Bible instructs us that God is a jealous God. His jealousy doesn't stem from a trivial human perspective, but from a profound depth that stems from his immense love for us. God doesn't desire his people to be misled by false gods, which are fundamentally powerless and worthless. When we create idols, we are essentially crafting false gods, thereby substituting the one true God with something that is, fundamentally, nothing. For instance, the golden calf incident in the book of Exodus is a classic example of God's jealousy. When the Israelites made and worshipped a golden calf while Moses was on Mount Sinai, God's wrath was ignited due to their idolatry. Moreover, idol worship is not just about violating a commandment, it's about losing sight of our identity as God's creation. We are made in the image of God, and when we worship idols, we are distorting that image, supplanting it with the image of an idol. So, idol worship in the biblical sense is not merely a religious issue. It's a question of identity, purpose, and ultimate allegiance. Now let's explore some specific Bible verses that address this topic. Opening. The book of Exodus is replete with some of the earliest and incredibly explicit warnings against the act of idol worship. The core of Exodus harbors two instrumental verses that delineate a profound commandment. Exodus 20:3-6 and Exodus 20:4-5. Taking a deep dive into these verses, we can comprehend their profound implications. Exodus 20:3-6 commences with a clear-cut command, "You shall have no other gods before me." An inherent principle of faith is thus established, the recognition of God's exclusivity. This principle transcends mere refraining from worshiping other deities. It encompasses the acceptance and acknowledgement of the singular supremacy of God. This commandment lays the groundwork for a relationship of exclusive devotion between the worshiper and God. Next in line is Exodus 20:4-5, which broadens the horizon of this commandment. Asserts, "You must not make any idols. Do not construct any statues or representations of anything up in the sky, or of anything on the earth, or of anything down in the water. Refrain from worshiping or serving idols of any kind, because I, the Lord, am your God. I detest my people worshiping other gods." This passage not only prohibits the creation of idols, but also their worship and service. It covers a broad spectrum of potential idols, spanning anything in the sky, on the earth, or in the water. This exhaustive prohibition highlights the severity of idolatry in God's perception. These verses from Exodus amplify the exclusivity of God, an integral principle of monotheistic faiths. They emphasize that our devotion should be exclusively directed towards the one true God, instead of being divided among various idols or deities. They shed light on the importance of preserving the purity of our worship, keeping it untainted by the stain of idolatry. In the book of Exodus, idolatry is often followed by divine punishment. For instance, after the golden calf incident, a plague was sent as a penalty for the idol worship. The consequences of idolatry, as depicted in the Bible, essentially serve as warnings against diverting worship to idols. As we ponder over these verses from Exodus, let's remember the ramifications of diverting our worship to idols. These commandments are not just words from the annals of history, they transmit a timeless message of faith and fidelity to God. Closing. Hence, the Bible's message is lucid and unequivocal. There should be no other gods before me. Proceeding ahead, let's delve deeper into the book of Isaiah, focusing on the prophet's fierce denouncement of idolatry. Isaiah's objection against idol worship in Isaiah 44:9-20 is unyielding and forceful. He pronounces, "All who make idols are nothing, and the things they treasure are worthless." This is a scathing criticism of those who partake in idolatry, diminishing their actions and their adored objects to insignificance. The idols they construct, the prophet iterates, can profit nothing, underlining the emptiness of idol worship. This serves as a grave reminder of the undeniable truth that the physical manifestations of gods are incapable of providing genuine spiritual nourishment. The value they appear to have is merely a deception, their pledge of spiritual satisfaction, a delusion. To illustrate, Isaiah elaborates on the procedure of crafting an idol, offering a detailed description of carving the figure from a block of wood, then using the remaining pieces of the same tree for warmth and food preparation. This portrayal intensifies the irrationality of expecting a man-made object originating from such commonplace and dull processes to embody divine attributes. For instance, in the book of Exodus, the Israelites, during Moses' absence, created a golden calf as their god. Despite the idol's impressive appearance, it could neither respond to their prayers nor provide spiritual guidance, emphasizing the futility of idol worship. Meanwhile, in the New Testament, the Apostle John reiterates Isaiah's sentiments in his own sincere and heartfelt call to caution. In 1 John 5:21, he implores, "Little children, keep yourselves from idols." It's a warning to all believers, an exhortation to protect oneself from the enticement of physical representations in religious worship. John's admonition goes beyond avoiding physical idols. He employs it as a metaphor for any entities that might substitute God in our hearts. These could be material possessions, status, or even other individuals. Similar to the example of King Solomon, who allowed his foreign wives to introduce their idols into his kingdom, eventually leading him astray from God. John's message resonates loud and clear. Anything that diverts our attention from our relationship with God can morph into an idol. So what can we infer from Isaiah and John? They instruct us that idolatry exceeds mere prostration before statues or worshiping physical depictions. It's about comprehending where our authentic treasure resides. It's about accepting that our worth emanates not from material acquisitions or social standing, but from our bond with God. Idols are nothing, worthless, and we are admonished to keep ourselves from them. Hence, let's take this warning to heart, striving to maintain our focus on what truly holds importance. Jeremiah and Corinthians offer profound insights into the Bible's stance on idolatry. Let's delve deeper into the teachings of Jeremiah, specifically chapters 2 and 16. These chapters of the Bible eloquently illustrate the futility of idol worship. It is unequivocally stated that an idol is nothing. The Bible uses powerful imagery to convey this message. Idols are likened to scarecrows in a melon field. They are voiceless. They need to be carried because they are unable to walk. They instill no fear as they are incapable of causing harm or bringing about any good. The message is unambiguous. Idols are devoid of power, worth, and importance. Let's extend our exploration to the wisdom shared in the book of Samuel. Here in the first book of Samuel, chapter 12, verse 21, Samuel refers to idols as useless things. This portrayal is reiterated throughout the Bible, underlining the idea that idols at their core are empty and lack any real value or power. The book of Corinthians further enriches our understanding of idolatry. In Apostle Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapters 8 and 10, he re-emphasizes the insignificance of idols, asserting, "We know that an idol is nothing at all in the world." Paul's words offer a potent reminder that the physical idols people may worship are mere symbols, devoid of any real weight or importance in the overall scheme of things. Furthermore, Jeremiah chapter 10 verses 3-5 characterizes idols as the work of human hands, made from material of the earth and decked with silver and gold. They are likened to a scarecrow in a cucumber field, unable to speak and needing to be carried. 1 Corinthians 10:19-20 also adds a cautionary note about participating in idol worship, the sacrifices being offered to demons and not God. These verses together underscore a central theme in the Bible. Idols are nothing at all in the world. They are impotent, worthless, and inconsequential. They are unable to speak, unable to walk, and unable to cause harm or provide any benefit. The Bible's position on idolatry is crystal clear and resolutely condemning. This understanding paints a vivid portrait of the Bible's views on idol worship. It reiterates the Bible's admonition against idolatry, highlighting the futility of attributing spiritual significance to physical objects. Once again, the Bible emphasizes the insignificance and pointlessness of idols. So, what have we learned about the Bible's stance on idol worship? We've traversed through the texts of Exodus, Isaiah, John, and other books, painstakingly deciphering the biblical commandments regarding idolatry. From the inception, in the book of Exodus, it's underscored, "You shall have no other gods before me." The Bible, with authoritative conviction, emphasizes that God alone should be the celestial recipient of our worship and unwavering devotion. The act of creating idols, whether they are statues, images, or any other form, is sternly condemned and cautioned against. Our journey of understanding also took us through the verses of Isaiah, who light on the futility of idolatry, stating, "All who make idols are nothing, and the things they treasure are worthless." This is not merely a casual observation, but a profound indictment of idol worship. His teachings drive home the futility of idolatry, highlighting the emptiness of the idols themselves and the worthlessness of the treasures they supposedly represent. This sentiment resonates with the teachings of John, who goes a step further, urgently cautioning us to resist and abstain from idols. John's warning serves as a guidepost, a reminder of our spiritual obligations, and a deterrent from the path of idolatry. At its core, the Bible delivers a consistent and unambiguous message across its verses. Idolatry is a grave sin, a transgression of the highest order. Jeremiah paints a vivid metaphor of idols being akin to scarecrows in a melon patch, are lifeless, motionless, incapable of causing harm or bringing forth good. An idol, as we glean from Corinthians, is a mere figment of human creation, devoid of divine power or influence. But the sin of idolatry goes beyond merely worshiping a lifeless object. It's deeper, more insidious, and corrosive to our spiritual identities. It's about the transformation of the worshiper. When we indulge in idolatry, we are, in a sense, replacing the divine image of God within us with the image of an idol. We are reshaping our spiritual identities, distorting our connection with the divine, and according to the Bible, this is a grave transgression. The Bible's condemnation of idol worship is unequivocal and resounding. It is a distortion of our relationship with God, a deviation from our spiritual path. As believers, we are implored to maintain our focus on God and God alone, not on the creations birthed by our own hands. Remember, as believers, we are called upon to worship God alone, and not the creations of our own hands. Thank you for joining us today, and please like, share, and subscribe to our Closer to God channel for more profound biblical insights. Did you know? As we've been exploring the topic of idol worship, we've come across some fascinating facts that underline just how seriously the Bible takes this issue. One such fact takes us back to the time of Moses. As you may recall, Moses was given the 10 Commandments by God on Mount Sinai, which included the commandment against idol worship. But did you know that while Moses was up on the mountain receiving these commandments, his people were down below, creating an idol in the form of a golden calf? This act of defiance led to catastrophic consequences, further highlighting the gravity of idol worship as a sin. In fact, the Bible goes to great lengths to express the futility of idol worship. In the book of Psalms, there's a verse that says, "Their idols are silver and gold, the work of human hands. They have mouths, but do not speak, eyes, but do not see." This verse underscores the lifelessness of idols and the senselessness of worshiping them. Isn't that fascinating? The Bible is full of such intriguing insights, constantly reminding us of the importance of worshiping God alone and not idols. As we continue our exploration in the next scene, let's keep this fact in mind. It serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of straying away from our spiritual path and the importance of focusing our worship on God alone.